about my 12-week year. This is my second 12-week year, and we gotta do a little update on how the weeks went. So I probably wouldn't say that this week was the perfect week to start a 12-week year because I was out of town for like 4 days of them. I went to the Eurovision Song Contest in Malmö for the past 4 days, and I wasn't able to do a lot of my habits that I wanted to do, like loading, unloading dishwasher, and like I didn't go hiking, but obviously I did other things, a lot of like sightseeing. I think we walked over 40,000 steps while being there, so I definitely had enough movement. So I got a quite low percentage at the end of the week, and it was like 65%. Things that went really well was practicing dismissing urges. I'm now at 29 urges. I started a bit with collecting dismissing urges before I started my 12-week year. So that's why I'm already at 29. I didn't get 29 during that week. I get a few less than that. I think it was like 5 or so. And I definitely see already a change just by doing that, that I'm able to sit more with my food at the table, not sitting at the couch or just kind of like munching on things. I definitely see some changes already, and it gets also a bit easier to dismiss urges. I wouldn't say I was perfect, but I mean that's not necessary either. So I also continued reading Brain Over Binge. I'm already at 31% of the whole book. Also, I started that earlier than my 12-week year, so that's why I'm already further down the line. I managed to journal about body image almost every day. I think I did it 6 times this week, so that was really impressive, even though when I was traveling it was really easy because I could just journal a bit in the morning before we kind of like got started with the day. Things I obviously didn't do well was like loading or unloading the dishwasher, going hiking, but also going to bed at 10 p.m. That didn't happen, and that's okay. It was definitely not a normal week, and obviously also had fewer work days, so it wasn't as important to be in bed at 10 p.m. Also weighed in once. Usually I want to weigh in on Sundays, but this time I decided because I will be traveling and probably my sleep will be completely out of whack, and I will have eaten quite a lot of things that are not useful for weight loss. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna weigh in on Thursday, so I have like a number, and then we can weigh in next week also on Thursdays. And yeah, so I'm always happy that I managed to weigh in, not trying to weigh on other days. That's something I'm working on at the moment. And yeah, I would say for being out of town for so many days, 65% is absolutely okay. I am back from Kristiansand, and we have to talk about my score. The score is very low. It's 64% this week, and I mean it's totally normal because I've again been traveling for most of the time. I traveled from Thursday afternoon until Sunday evening, so obviously there were several habits that scored very low, like loading and unloading dishwasher. I had no time to go hiking or trying a new recipe, and that's very normal when you're traveling. I felt like it was very similar to the week before. I knew that I would have like a quite low score, and I would say one thing that I've really learned on this second 12-week year is that you just embrace the low scores, because you know to set them in context, and knowing, okay, if you're traveling, you're obviously not able to have 100%, so, or even 80. And I think with that, 65% is really good. I was really happy to be in Kristiansand and meeting Melina and Victoria again. We walked also quite a lot, and over time also got during the week back on a quite good sleeping schedule. May is always a bit tricky for me because I tend to have problems to fall asleep, and I also had my first like bigger overeat risk I don't know if you can say it like that, but it was like when I arrived back from Kristiansand, I was watching TV and then I got myself a bowl of chips. And that was the first time I kind of like broke the habit of eating at the table. And I ate that like really small bowl of chips. And then I went like, oh, I want to eat more. And that could have ended up being like an overeat. But I was able to kind of like stop the urge there and not continue with it. And I was so proud of myself afterwards, because that was probably the first time I was already on the path to hell and I was able to stop myself and get to the right path. And yeah, I was really proud of myself. I also realized I haven't had an overeat for 3 weeks now, which is probably one of the longest times so far. Yeah, very proud of myself. And it's definitely not easy, but it feels like it gets a bit easier now. I'm really motivated to dismiss a lot of urges, and I also see that it gets a bit easier now. So I definitely think I will actually read these 100 urges at the end of July. I also finished a book called The Slight Edge. I absolutely love that book. It is very inspirational, and I'm very like on that idea of small things compounding over time, getting you on the right path. And I think it really helps you, especially in the beginning, when you do all these small things and you just don't see any difference, and other people maybe who do a lot more get results faster. I also weighed myself right before I left to Kristiansand, and I had the same weight as the week before. So would I like to be losing some weight? Yes, but I mean, I was traveling, so, and the sleep is completely out of rhythm, so I didn't have like big hopes for weight loss in that weekend. We'll see how it goes next week, when everything has kind of like come a little bit to more normal. Week 3 is done, and I couldn't feel more conflicted about this one, because first of all, I did amazingly. I reached 94% on my habit tracker, so that's a really good score. Especially that was now a week where I didn't travel anywhere, where I could do all my habits, and yeah, I did amazing. And it's so funny because I didn't feel good at all in that week. I had a lot of negative emotions. I felt grief, I felt frustrated, I was tired, I was exhausted, I was depleted. I had everything under the sun, at least for this week. And what made me really happy to see is actually that even though I didn't feel well, I still did all my habits. And what I really like about the mini habits concept is that you are able to perform even on your worst days. Even if you're sick or tired or angry or sad or whatever, you still are able to do them because they're so small, and they also obviously get easier over time. And I love the idea that you can have a bad week and you still make a lot of progress. And at the end of the week, you can look back and say, oh, this week didn't went well, and it still went well. Kind of like that. Otherwise, what stood out for me was I've almost now have dismissed 50 urges, which is like, wow, that's a lot. I also see it gets easier. I had like one overeat on Sunday, but yeah, I feel like I'm already back on track, and it's not such a big deal anymore. I know that there will be slip-ups, but we just keep going, and I know it will get easier, and I definitely already feel that. I definitely see there is already a change. I have less urges. Like when I sit here in my chair and watch something, I have very little urges to eat. So that is really good to see that this kind of like bad habit is starting to, I know it can be back activated, but I definitely see it fades a little bit away, which is really nice. Otherwise, all the other habits, I mean, everything is green here. I did my journaling every day. I did eat breakfast at home 4 times at least. I usually ate at least 3 times a day and at the table instead of here on the couch or somewhere. I went on a hike. I tried a new recipe. Oh yeah, I made hazelnut milk and it didn't go well at all. I'm not going to show you too because it was a totally disaster. Tastes very strange. We're gonna try something new next week. I loaded the dishwasher every day. I went to bed at around 10 p.m. several days, I think was at least 4 times. It didn't help me so much because I'm really tired these days every morning when I wake up, because I find it really hard to actually fall asleep. It's always like that in May and June, and yeah, it will take a while until I'm back to normal, but that's the negative side effect of summer, I guess. I also weighed in. I gained like 200 grams, and I also see some changes there because usually that would make me freak out even if it's just 200 grams. But now I know most likely it's PMS. I have had a little more cravings for like chips and sweets the past days. Whatever, it's just 200 grams. We're not even talking about it. It's so easy. I feel really happy, and yeah. So we will see how week 4 goes. Week 4 we have to do again because I managed to delete my video. I think that's the first time I have done that, but so we have to do it a little bit later than I had planned to do. Week 4 was actually a really good week with 83%. There were a few things I didn't do. For example, I didn't go hiking. I didn't feel so well. I also didn't manage to kind of like go to bed at 10 p.m. every like 4 days a week. I didn't manage that. I didn't manage to eat breakfast all the time at home, but it was still, I would say, a very successful week. Like, for example, I managed to do 3 tone it up workouts, and I have done like 1 total body, 1 arms and abs, and 1 cardio lower body one. And I think that's the first time I've done 3 of them. I mean, I also walk from work between 0 and 2 times a week, and then I have like a hike in the weekend. So some weeks I'm very active and some weeks not so much, but in general I see that I definitely reach my 300 minutes of movement that I have like as a goal. Definitely now in the summertime it's so easy to reach that. I think it will be more difficult in fall and winter again, but it's fun to see that I have doing the tone it up like every week. Every week I do my total body, and now it's the first time I have done way more, and yeah, I'm really curious how it's gonna look like in the upcoming weeks. Obviously now I will be traveling very soon, so no toted up workouts there, but after that we'll see. I'm also still looking for a good Facebook group that kind of like does what I do. I have been in different groups. I haven't really found my home yet, but there is a group called Balance 365 that sounds very promising. I just looked at the website and seemed like they have a very healthy view on health and behavioral change, and I really like how they focus on small changes, so definitely have to check them out a little bit more, but yeah, they seemed definitely promising. I also want to change my relationship to soda. I would like to, like, if I look at my vision, I would like to drink soda just really rarely. And mostly I would like to drink water or carbonated water and tea and that. But I find it still difficult to switch from soda with artificial sweeteners to carbonated water. And I just listened to a podcast episode where somebody said, oh, why don't you start diluting it and like having like 1/4 of water and then 3/4 of soda, and then over time you kind of like increase that. I'm like, that's a good thing. So I think I will start with that and then slowly increasing it, and yeah, probably will take a few weeks or months to get out of the habit, but I mean, baby steps, they will get you somewhere. It just takes time. So yeah. But I guess that's kind of what I have to say about week 4, which means we are 1/3 through my second 12-week year. I've already dismissed over 50 urges to eat here in this chair or on my sofa while watching TV, and I think that is already amazing that I'm doing that, because it really helps me to eat more mindful and just not like eating without even realizing what you're eating. And I mean, you can't even really taste it if you watch TV. And yeah, I think I'm in a good way. Sometimes I question how I'm doing it or if I should change everything. I still have that, but it's definitely less, and it also helps to have small habits. I have to say I'm using this Strides app, and I mean, it's okay, but I just don't love it. Yeah. And also, we don't really like these kinds of how I'm making the scorecard afterwards, because the Strides app doesn't show it the way I want it, and I'm not so happy, but haven't really found out what I can do otherwise. Well, we'll see. Maybe we find a new solution. But thank you again for joining on this journey, and I'll see you again next Sunday. Have a wonderful week. Bye bye.